everyone. Welcome to our Healing Voices podcast and YouTube channel. Really excited. Those of you who are brand new to the show, welcome. Excited to have you join us today. Those of you who have been regular listeners or you've been watching the YouTubes on the regular, welcome back. Excited to have you here. Those of you who are brand new, just to introduce what our Healing Voices is about is, for me, this last 15, 20 years since high school, honestly, yeah, about 20 years since high school, the journey of exploration, the journey of healing has become more and more important to me as time has gone on. And sometimes I've actually felt quite alone on that journey. And it feels like maybe I'm the only one that cares about this evolution or this consciousness raising or or this just movement through life, and how can we make it better than the last generation and continue to bring light and love to the world. So my goal was to help us all remember that I'm not the only one, that Ixchel's not the only one, and that you, the listener, aren't the only one. There's actually a lot of us that are engaged in this work, and yes, it's unique. Yes, we're all on our unique paths. But we're not alone. We're not alone. There's other people that are doing the courageous work with us. And as far as the voices aspect is, I love getting to know people. It's one of my greatest passions. And I love many of the people that I've met thus far in this life journey that are engaged in this healing process. And rather than, not to say I couldn't have my own podcast and freestyle quite a bit and just talk about this, that, and the other. But for me, what excites me is getting to hear unique voices on a consistent basis and learn from other people that are on the journey with their own unique lens, their own unique view of the world, view of the healing process. And so here we are on episode 18 of our Healing Voices. And I'm really excited to have Ixchel Hazard joining me today and joining us today, and just looking forward to this conversation. Ixchel and I go back to our days at SWIHA. Those of you who are in Arizona in the healing arts world, you probably have heard of SWIHA. If not, it's the Southwest Institute of the Healing Arts. And we both go back. We crossed paths there. And had like just synced up. It was like, yes, I like you. I want to hang out with you, get to know you better, stay in touch with you. And so, I mean, that's been since 06, 07. So it's been a while. So here we are in 2020, and
so many changes.
Incredible healer. Ixchel's an incredible healer, and I'm just going to read a little mini bio about her, and then have her kind of share a little bit more here in one moment. So Ixchel is a self-motivated, compassionate, holistic healthcare facilitator with exceptional customer service skills, diverse and extensive working experience, and a dedication to quality client care, utilizing several modalities of therapy. And during the last several years, over this last 5 years-ish, she has developed a gentle, effective skill and instinctive touch, which assists the client in healing themselves within the spirit, mind, emotional, and physical bodies. So if that doesn't get you excited, I mean, that just got me excited reading that. Because wow, sister, I'm just pumped. I'm pumped to have this conversation and hang out with you, and just want to pass the mic. I'll share a little, I'll invite you. Tell us more. Tell us a little bit more. So what is your day to day right now? We'll just start with right now. What are you pouring your energy into? Are you, as far as client care goes, what's energizing you right now? What are you pouring your energy into?
Well, shoot, there's a lot of goodness. Sometimes when you hear things about yourself, you're like, wow, that's me, and that's pretty cool. Right now I am growing. I've done massage and body work and working with different modalities within the healing field, that I've grown to a point of wanting to pass that on. So I've been teaching the last year, teaching massage, teaching energy work. I'm working at, I'm TAing. I had a teacher's assistant position at SWIHA. So I'm back there every blue moon because there's a lot of people that are wanting to get their foot in their door. But I'm also at a school up in Glendale, Arizona College, and I'm teaching the massage program there. So that's been quite an experience the last year or so. So I think for me, it's a level of mastery. I think every 10 years, you should reach that level of mastery with whatever skill that you're at. And you need to evaluate whether you want to continue to grow in that. Do you still have passion? Does it still excite you? And if you have indeed reached that level of mastery, and I'm, like I said, 16 years into massage, and it's time to pass that mastery on to the next generation. And I'm excited about that. So I'm doing a lot of teaching and helping new therapists come into this beautiful world of holistic healthcare. So
Yeah.
yay.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've definitely enjoyed it. It's challenging teaching.
Tell me more. Tell us more.
Well, just working with different personalities, different people that you get them into a classroom and trying to keep them focused, and it's adult learning, but sometimes we forget that school can be challenging. There's still homework, there's still exams, there's still that, but the passion that sparks up when they're on the table and they have a client, or they've done a stroke, or they've moved the body in a certain way that got the result that they wanted, that's a really sense of joy for me right now. So that's what I'm putting a lot of my energy into, is just teaching and growing and seeing what I can do for the therapist coming behind me.
Yeah.
So,
That's amazing. That's amazing. So I want to hear, like, tell me more about body work. Like, where did this gift, where did this interest come from? Like, how far back does it go for you? I'm just curious. Like,
well, the journey, I like to travel by leaps of faith.
Okay.
You know, sometimes you just have to go. And I was in England, in the UK. I was a government contractor. I was doing system support and computer help desk, and I was really, really, really bad at my job. I knew enough to break stuff, which is never a good position to be in because you can't always fix what you break. So I thought, maybe I'll do yoga, because that seemed like, I liked the customer service part of that job. I liked being able to get on the phone and talk a client down, or a client at the time, it was a customer, oh, your computer's broken. By the third time you tell them to reboot, they don't want to talk to you anymore. And I spent 2 years changing my name. Oh no, that's that other girl. That's not me. I'm new. I was new for 2-3 years before they caught on, and I just kept changing shifts. And then I was like, I should probably do something else. And yoga was calling, and yoga in the body, and looking for a way for me to find some grounding and centering and getting in touch with the physical part, because in computers you do have that separation. So I wanted to come back to a physical practice and getting in tune with my body. And I couldn't find yoga anywhere that satisfied all my needs. And I found Arizona School of Massage Therapy. I was in England, like I said, in the UK, getting rained on just about every day, which was fine because rain makes things grow, but I'm short. Sugar shrinks, sugar melts in the rain. So I had to get out of there and come dry out. So I found Arizona College, And I thought, oh, I could do massage. That's just rubbing on the body. That ain't hard. Yeah. Yeah. and it was life changing. It was how to bring that customer service skills that I shined at, and applying them to getting people to a place of practice within themselves and within their body, an awareness, that's a better word, an awareness in their body of how they're holding and how they can help themselves be better and healthier and happier and whole. So, and it grew from there. I got dropped into it, and I came to Arizona, and it was red and hot, and I dried out. I love Arizona. I love the desert. So, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So it started, you were in IT over in England.
Mm-hmm.
You started to think yoga. I need some yoga. I need some body movement.
Yeah. And a practice to come into me, more so. I thought, oh, and this will be fun. Yoga seems like a good place to start. And I kept running into walls, but every wall that I ran into said massage. So I was like, oh, well, maybe I should listen. And it's funny, I saw a movie in 1993. And there was a scene where she was driving from Denver into Scottsdale, which now that I know where everything is, there was no way that she saw these mountains as she was driving into Scottsdale. But I was like, oh, I want to go where it's red. I want to go and see the desert. That looks beautiful. And the school I found in England was right in Phoenix. And I was like, okay, there's a leap of faith. The school had everything I needed, housing. Took my GI Bill from the military, and off I went. And here I am. So, and I keep coming back. So, something about Arizona.
Wow. So 1993, you remember a movie that was like
Arizona.
It was
desert. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So, and after England, I needed to dry out. So I was here. I did school I actually got here to Arizona because there was a long time between the time I saw that movie in 93, and I actually got to Arizona in 2005.
Okay.
So a lot of time doing other things to come to this place. And when I found AZ, the desert, I find it's I'm very elemental, which drew me to Ayurveda as well, but on this journey. So in being elemental and coming from all that water, and I just felt so much. It's just water's emotion. So you just, a lot of feelings. And I kind of got like mud, where you just get kind of soupy and sit, and that wasn't productive. So coming to the desert, I dried up and got moving, because all this heat and energy, and where I live in Arizona is Tempe. And Tempe has a lot of movement with the college here, Arizona State. There's a lot of young people, a lot of things going in and out and around. So I like being here because it helps me to grow and move. And when I need the water, I just go visit Hawaii. So lots of water in Maui.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm having a blast thus far listening to kind of your journey from you're working on this energy of when you were over in England and it was just raining, and it was like just energetically it wasn't bringing you you said emotionally it made you more just shift. It just was the energy. It was too much wet, too much rain, too much.
Yeah. It's just a lot of feeling.
Yeah.
And it was good to, I didn't have the language for it then, so I didn't know that I was just processing things, and things come up with the rain, things come up and then they get washed away. Things come up and then they get washed away. So it was a lot of I was in England for 6 years. So it was a lot of things coming up and washing away, because you deal with them when you come up. They can't help it because it's messy and it's in front of you and mud gets everywhere, and then you have to clean it up. So it was good and healing in that I came to Arizona with a clean slate. It was like, okay, I've felt it all. Now what am I going to do with these feelings? And being in that energy of the desert, and things are moving, and you know, it's hot and you got to keep it going, because if you stay, you're going to get burnt out. And that's, and I always say Phoenix is just like that. You should come, reach your zenith, and leave before you burn out. And sometimes for people, that's a lifetime before they reach that burnout. For me, the first time was 6 years. 6 years, 8 months, 9 days. And then I went to Hawaii for 3 years because I was like, I'm done. I need some water. I need to, you know, balance all this out. I had gone to school. I went to Sweeha and got 2 degrees. I wanted to, and I had been doing massage all that time. And I really needed to, in that time of my journey, needed to take a step back and go, okay, what do I feel? Hence the water. I went back to water. What can I feel like I'm doing? And I took a year off and didn't touch anybody and worked at a grocery store. And that was awesome. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. I worked at this grocery store on Maui called Mana Foods.
Okay. And
Mana Foods is like the Whole Foods of the island. People will come for 2-3 hours away with coolers to buy food to go back 2 or 3 hours away, because you know, all the local gardeners are coming, all the local produce, everything is fresh. You know, you have a different relationship with your food and your environment when you talk to the man that picked the papaya 2 hours ago. It's a whole different relationship you have with that papaya, with that food, with that man, with the place you're at, you know? Wow. And I thought, when I went to Maui, I thought I was a hippie. I thought I was ready. I was like, yeah, I'm a hippie. Yeah, I'm not a hippie, Erin. I shower too much. I don't like patchouli. Why do they always have to sit on the ground? There's chairs. Maybe I'm old, but I'm like, there's a bench, like right there. Can we just, I know it's a circle, but there's a bench. Right there. So I was like, nope, I'm a bohemian, and you hippie people, we can do stuff. I learned there, that's where my teaching came in, the role of the teacher, because I had all these young people, and I say I've given birth to none and been a mother to many, because I had all these young people that were like here and looking for that guidance and looking for that direction. You know, they had the passion, they have the power, they have the ingenuity. They just didn't know where to go with it. And to be able to be that grounding force to say, hey, how about you put on shoes and walk, you know, instead of just sitting on the beach thinking about what you can do. Let's do something. Let's take that energy and be productive. And if you're going to walk there, let's pick up trash on the way, because might as well, you're going from A to B, and here you go. You know, we can help the environment, and we can, you know, we can all be this community. So it was nice to fill that role where I thought I'd be amongst the kids on the, no, I'm not there. No. Yeah. I want to sit on a bench. Yeah. So, but it was that transition into, okay, I'm not again on my journey. I'm not a kid. Here I am. I have to take that leadership role, that motherly role, because that's where I was at. So, yeah.
So that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. So I hear you saying that, like, Hawaii, you were okay. I need water. I need to be around. Like, I need almost like a cleanse again. Need to like cleanse again. Been in the desert. Growing, hustling,
right out,
massaging, doing a lot. And it was like, okay, I'm going to go to Hawaii. You got to Maui, ended up pouring your energy into working at an amazing market, Sounds like a sweet market.
It
Made
was fun.
cool connections there, and then ended up finding yourself, you realized you were not as hippie as a lot of people are, you know, and in fact, you actually you became like, took on a leadership role almost for a lot of people in the younger folks in the area who've come there. A lot of hippies do go to Hawaii. So I mean, when I first went to Hawaii, I was like, I think I could just stay here for the rest of my life and just,
it's easy.
right. And, but I hear you saying that you were able to kind of step into a leadership role, and okay, it's cool to sit on the beach and think about projects or doing this or exploring that. Why not do it?
Why not do it?
It sounds like what,
yeah, it was a say yes experience. And that was a lot of say yeses for me as well, you know, yes to whatever opportunity came up. And in having that time to heal and to wash away what doesn't serve me anymore, and to give myself that nourishment, you know, because it was about, okay, I've done and doing. I needed to be, and taking that time off from massage. And it was a year, like I said, I was telling you earlier, that level of mastery, you reach there and you have to decide, is this still what I want to do? And I missed it. I missed body work. I missed touching people. Massage for me was like, I have a job where 8 out of 10 people hug me at the end of it. You can't beat that.
Right.
Okay. And then they give me money. Okay. But they hug me. 8 out of 10 people. You know, on a good day, 10 out of 10 people. Even if they showed up in a bad mood, by the time they got off the table, or a life coaching session, or whatever, or an Ayurvedic session, whatever the modality is, whatever I'm facilitating, because it's just me holding space for them to figure it out. And sometimes somebody needs somebody to facilitate that by asking the right question. I'm not really doing a lot of work. People show up to do their own work. And I just happen to know some good questions to ask. Yeah. So, yeah. Wow. and I did. I came back to it.
Yeah. Say more about that piece of, like, you know, because I think a lot of us, like, massage, like, I don't know, maybe this is not a lot of us, but I think that a lot of people think about massage as like, you go and somebody's going to heal you, or, you know, like, or it's like, you're going to go get fixed, somebody's going to do some deep work, and then you're going to walk away and, like, your back's going to be ship shape, good to go. Say more about that, like, responsibility factor where you said it's like, you play facilitator for your clients to do their healing. Like, what does that mean for those people who are listening, who are kind of like, maybe haven't been in the massage world, maybe haven't ever gotten a massage?
And what you said is so true. I hear that from a lot of therapists, and you know, I want them to fix me. You know, my clients say, come fix me. Well, that hour and a half, 2-hour session that you have as a therapist poured your heart into, you know, and they get off the table feeling amazing, to go back the next day to not work on their posture when they're sitting at their computer. And if you can't teach them the awareness that they need to sit up straight, they need to have both feet on the ground. If you're not, in addition to giving them a great massage, or having a great life coaching session, or using the aromatherapies, if you don't hand that, as a therapist, hand that responsibility back to your client, back to your patient, and say, okay, these are your tools. Here you go. You have to use them. You know, your time is not as productively used as it could be. And that's unfortunate. And so you can have those clients where you only, so many times you run into them going, okay, just fix my back. But if you're still, where do you want to go with that client? You know, where do you want to go in that relationship with you as a therapist? Because that's a lot of weight to carry around when they're always coming to come fix me.
Yeah.
That's not our job. It's to hold space and to give them awareness for them to fix themselves, because there's the only person that can do it. They're the only ones that are with themselves 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
So
how do you walk that line of with clients of letting them know that at the end of the day that it's on them, it's on their, because I think that's, people will say, oh, I've gone to the chiropractor for such and such and I don't think it's working, or I've gone to the massage, I don't think it's working. I'm like, working? Like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? How have you shifted your days? Like, have your days changed at all? Because if your days haven't changed other than getting a massage every 2 weeks, like,
it depends on the client.
Yeah. How do you do it in a way can be received? It's like, yeah.
It's really hard because it really depends on the client. Some clients, I have clients where they look at massage as an investment. I'm making this investment. Yep. So you can use the approach of, well, if this is an investment, you want to get the best return on this investment. This is what you're responsible for. There's other clients I can use the approach of, well, you can just keep giving me money. That's fine. I don't mind. But this is going to be a continuous problem. And then I have to, as a practitioner, as a therapist, say, okay, how long do I really want this person on my table? Because I want them to, and this might be very contrary to other therapists, but I don't want to see you I don't want to see you for the same thing for years, for months, because at some point I'm not being effective. But there's the other side of the coin, there's some issues in a client's body where you have those clients that are working with you, or that are doing their stretches, that are showing up every week, where their issue is like, oh, this is personal. I am definitely going to maybe research how I can stretch that in a different way. Because if they're showing up, then I'm going to show up. So their issue becomes my issue, because, okay, that backs up back on me. What I'm doing isn't enough. Maybe they need lymphatic. I need to research that. Maybe they need to go to a different practitioner. Maybe I need to be open to that. So depends on what side of the coin your client is on and where you can meet them.
That's helpful. That's helpful. Yeah. And I hear you saying, it's like, for you, it's like, how can I help this person shift, right? Where it's like, they don't need me for the next 2 decades, not that having a long time client is a bad thing. Right. I mean, obviously, like, financially it's a blessing. And also, if they're committed to, like, being in that, themselves. That it's like they see it as like both involved in the healing process, right?
I just help them help themselves.
Totally.
So cool. And I've had clients. I have a client now. He gets a 2-hour massage twice a week. He's a hardworking man, and I've had him for the last 3 years. But it's never just the same issues. I've seen the difference in when we started and where we're at now. And that's awesome to have those clients so you can see that progress. And it's also, like I said, his issues have become my challenges. Oh, you have a kink in your low back? What else can we do? Because it makes me a better therapist. I have to go research. I have to go look into things because I want to expand my toolbox to be the best therapist for him.
Love it. So let's say somebody's never gotten a massage and they're listening into this. What would you suggest as they seek out a massage, and how, and showing up to that massage? What what are just some basic recommendations that you might suggest as somebody's like trying to find like a massage therapist? Because obviously there's so many different kinds of massage available.
Absolutely.
What would you recommend somebody begin with?
One is comfort. I mean, meet your therapist. If you feel comfortable with them, you're putting yourself in a vulnerable position. And as you're getting unrobed, you're allowing them to touch your body, and that's your therapist should hold that in a sacred space. So you should feel comfortable at looking for a therapist. You can ask how experienced that therapist is. I'm a firm believer in a handshake, that their touch in that moment can transmit a lot of information as to their quality of touch, you know? So, you know, a handshake says a lot.
Yeah.
What else would I want? What I want to know? I'd want to know.
Do you ever read testimonials? Like you read
About
do
myself?
research on a therapist? Like if you go somewhere to get, you know.
I have.
Yeah.
I have. I look at their pressure, what kind of massages they like to do.
Yeah.
Because I find as a therapist, you give the massage you want to receive.
Totally.
So, you know, if they're in their bio, or if I'm going to a place and they say, oh, I like sports massage, and I'm not a sports person, maybe that's not the massage therapist for me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's a good evaluation, what modalities they do. And what are my goals? What are your goals in looking for a therapist? Do you want to relax? You know?
Yeah.
If a therapist is well trained, and I will say this, as a therapist and as a client, if a therapist is well trained, communication is key. Is if you can communicate to them what you need, they'll be able to either facilitate that or tell you somebody who can.
Love it.
Communication is key.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, that's so important, right? It's the and because I also think like, well, when I first met Sarah, she was like, didn't like energy work. Number one, like Reiki freaked her out, you know, like, and that's not, I don't feel like I'm breaking confidence or whatever. So Reiki was like, what are you doing to me? You know, like, and then, but deep tissue, like deep pressure was like, she's super sensitive. And so it was just like like a real nice, gentle Swedish. Loved it, you know, like, whereas, you know, some people come in and they're like, no, I know that when my partner gives me a massage, like I like deep work.
Yes.
You know, just communicate, right? It's just like you just said.
Like, yes. And when you have them on the table, again, it goes back to being a trained therapist. If your client might be saying, yes, I want an elbow in my trap. But if that's not what the body is, as you have them on the table, is telling you they need, you need to communicate that to them as well, so they can know what you're doing as you're doing it. You know? Yes. It's not supposed to hurt. You're not supposed to be able to bruise, and you should be able to breathe through any stroke. Yes, I'm a big believer in breathing through strokes. Yeah. Because it makes a difference. Totally.
So I want to ask two things. So the breath piece, because I know that's, I mean, you just said that, like the breath piece, and also the other piece is with the life coaching background and just your mind body awareness, right? Your mind body awareness, you know, how do you ever like mix in some life coach? Obviously a little, you know, like but like during the sessions, like do people say like, Ixchel, I want one of those massage life coaching sessions, like all at the same time, like I want the combo.
Yes.
Is that an option for people? And anyway,
I think it happens when you create an environment where the client feels safe. Yeah, I think it happens organically for them to open up. I've had sessions. I had a client years ago, and she would come to me for an hour and a half reflexology session, and she would cry through the whole thing. freaked me out. But that was her space to release that. And she didn't want to talk. She just had that response. And I was like, can I do anything? How can I help? And she's like, you help by just letting me have this ugly cry, and you work on my feet, and I can get it out, and it's amazing space. And it's like, wow, that's what an honor for me that you feel safe enough. When somebody goes to sleep on my table and they start snoring, what an honor for me that you feel safe enough to be in this vulnerable position and to let your guard completely down to be asleep. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
You know, woohoo.
Yes, totally.
Best compliment. Somebody snores on my table.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Oh, this is so helpful. I'm loving this. I know people who are listening are, whether they're massage trained, massage curious, or like massage experience, like receive massages regularly. I know this will be helpful. So it's like, and the
breath work.
Yeah, the breath work and the tears. I mean, because I think somebody who listens to this may end up going in and getting a massage, and all of a sudden they're going to cry on the table, and they're going to be like, "What is going on right now? What is going to happen? What? And could you help? Could you help kind of shine a little light on, like what may be going on, or what could how you're understanding?"
Well, there's a thought. There's a thought that the body on a cellular level holds energy and emotions. Louise Hay is really good person to look up. She does a lot of affirmations for different areas of your life that are reflected in different areas of your body. That's some trippy stuff, you know. And you can look up, there's Chinese medicine, there's Ayurvedic medicine. I am very much an elemental person, where Chinese medicine, I just doesn't click, and it doesn't resonate, where Ayurveda is more of the direction I look at. So it's just finding balance, you know. Everything is elemental: earth, air, fire, water. Action is fire, water is emotions, earth is grounding, you know, wind, air is communication. So where do those things show up in your body? How do they show up in your body? And what do you need to use to balance them out? It's so many things, so many modalities to get excited about, so many elements. And breath work is one of them.
Totally. So you really encourage your clients when you're working on someone, and also now your students, just really teaching them just the importance of
so much changes in just that breath, just that one breath.
Before we hopped on this call, I actually did a little walk, just listened to some grounding music. I was just doing some breathing just to reconnect, to the earth. I was in a doing mode this morning, and then Sarah met me at lunch with some doing energy. She was working on some stuff, and
all that fire.
So I was okay, I gotta earth out real, listen to some music that really, anyway.
I love music for that.
So boy, I'm so excited. I'm so excited by you. I'm so excited we're having this conversation. So two pieces popped out. I heard you say military back in the day. So I'm curious to know a little bit more. Just so prior to England, or as a part of England, what were a few key moments of your childhood, growing up, that first 18, 21 years, 25 years, what were some pivotal things that you can still acknowledge today? Wow, that really totally influences my worldview today. Or that person that I met when I was in 12-year-old or whatever. Anyway,
Mhm.
are there any like key moments from that first 20-ish years of your life that you would say like, wow, game changer, eye opener, heart
Well,
opener, whatever? Yeah. Anyway, so
yeah.
go with that wherever you feel.
Um, well, like I said, I believe in leaps of faith.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, before the military, before I moved to Georgia when I was 17.
Okay.
And I wasn't supposed to move there. I was only supposed to go for the summer. And people don't believe me, but I was grounded from like 98 to like 92. I was always on punishment for stupid things, but that's another, I was grounded a lot.
Grounded a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
I was grounded a lot. And in March of 92, my dad said, "You're grounded to the summer." And then I did something, like I didn't do dishes or something. And then he said, "You're grounded till school starts."
Yeah.
Mind you, this is still in March of that year. And my mother was like, "Yeah, no, that ain't gonna work because you go to work and she's gonna be home with me." So she called my cousin and she said, "We're sending her down there for the summer. You know, she'll come back."
Mm-hmm.
And my cousin's rules after my father was, here's a key, don't get drunk, don't get pregnant, have a good time. I was 17. I was like, whoa, okay. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything going on.
Yeah.
And I bought Arrested Development. Do you remember Arrested Development?
Oh yeah, Mr. Wendell.
Yes.
Yes.
So I had that on a cassette. And
yep, totally.
I put it in the big boom box in the second floor window,
and
it was on a loop. So, you know, it just played to the end and then it played again on the other side and it just kept playing.
Yeah.
And I was entertaining the whole neighborhood.
Yes.
And I locked myself out the house.
You did. You locked yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sitting on the porch in Georgia. This music is blaring. And it starts to rain. It started to rain. And if you've ever been caught in a rainstorm in Georgia, especially in the summertime, you can get torrential downpours for like 20 minutes and it just buckets upon buckets upon buckets. And then it stops.
Right?
Just stops. And it's so hot and humid that the steam comes off the ground in plumes of smoke. It was awesome. And I called my mom that night and said, I'm not coming back. You have to either move here or figure out how I can stay. And that decision to leave Massachusetts, I mean, I had family, but I was 17. I'd never been away from home. It was just like, this is what I'm doing. And this is I'm on my own. And I wasn't, like I said, I had family. I was definitely not like a wayward child, but I was independent. And that was definitely that rainstorm. If I hadn't gotten locked out of the house, and my cousin came, of course, and unlocked the door, and I'm already dry because the plumes of steam had come off. And she says, as she rounds the corner, I heard the music from the front of the apartment complex. You need to find a job because you have far too much time on your hands.
Right.
And I was like, you're right. So, but that afternoon was like, oh, there's so much more to, so many wonders that I haven't, because that never happened in Massachusetts where I was from. That nothing like that had ever happened. So it was like, wow, if this rainstorm in Georgia, because I moved to a different state, imagine the rest of the world. And then I joined the military and went out to the rest of the world and saw England and Iceland and lived in Iceland for 3 years and all over the world. And just, you know, going to England when I got out of the service, that was a big, because it was like, what do I do now? You know, I had done this military career and it was communications and I was an interior communications tech. And again, I liked the job. It was a predominantly male field. So I'd come in there and I'm like, I'm in charge. Yeah, just me. And I got my steel toe boots on and, oh yeah. And you got to listen to what I say, cause I got my hard hat and let's pull this 500 pair cable. And it was fun until it was like, I think too much to keep pulling cable. I think too much for people to say, you're short, we're going to tie this around your ankle and crawl underneath the floor till you see the light. I was like, yeah, I can do other things.
Mm-hmm.
And that brought me to, like I said, England. And then it's been big jump. Let's go to Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. And then Hawaii for a bit, and now back to Arizona.
And Hawaii, like I said, I needed that cleansing, that reevaluation, what I was at a point in Hawaii where it was like, okay, who am I? I figured out what my parents believed. I played around with what I believed. And I was 33 when I went to Hawaii. And, that's your Saturn return and the end of your Saturn return, that year of mastery. So it was like, okay, now it's time to really live what I believe. And in Hawaii, there was nobody I didn't know anybody. There was a complete whole island of just blank people. And I was a blank slate. And it was like, okay, so who do I want to show up as? Mm-hmm. Who is my true authentic self? I can, going back to telling those kids on the beach, yeah, you could think about doing that, but why aren't you doing it? I could be a marathon runner, but if I never train, then I'll never be one. Mm-hmm. When I got to Hawaii, nobody knew if I was a marathon runner or not. So I just showed up, and then I did what marathon runners did. For example, that's not exact. I'm not a marathon runner by any means. But you just show up and you can be that, because there's no conflict on anything else. Coming back to Arizona after that was challenging, because you run up into those people that know who you were and want to still put you in that. And you say, hey, I'm a marathon runner. And they're like, no, you're not. And I'm like, but I am. And you have to go, it's now that I'm here this time after Hawaii, after getting to that point where it's like, okay, I've lived my authentic self. And I know what that feels like. And I know what it feels like not to live my authentic self. And it's kind of shitty. Sorry if I can. Yeah. It's kind of shitty. Yeah. So even coming back to Arizona, being in an environment that I'm familiar with, even though they don't understand, or they're not on board, or they're not in sync with where I'm at now, I'm still obligated to nobody else but myself to be my authentic self. And it feels good. Yeah. It feels so good. Yeah. And it's so easy. It's so easy. I thought it would be harder living in transparency, living with clear, consistent, compassionate communication. It's easy and hard at the same time, but it's freeing, because once what it is what it is, the communication is clear. Your life is authentic. You don't have to be anything but who you are. Okay. Yeah. That's pretty good, because I'm kind of cool and you're kind of cool. So why cool people should hang out.
That's what I'm saying. Seriously. Oh my goodness. All right. So how does one, somebody's listening today and they're like, authentic self, what in the world? How do I, there's so many voices, like you said, it's like the mom and dad voice, or the parental voice, the sibling voices, the societal voices, how would any tips that you'd recommend somebody? Because I think that I oftentimes can find my own self a bit overwhelmed by all the voices, and I'm like, what's Aaron's voice? Aaron, Hey, Aaron, you know, like, yeah. What would you say for somebody who's like, okay, what's authentic self calling me to? Because I think that what you represent, as I hear you share, it's like unapologetically showing up and pursuing that which brings you life is what I see. This is what I see in the way you show up. And it's like, it's magical to me. And I think a lot of people are going to listen to you and be like, oh snap, I've been asleep for the last decade or whatever, you know, like, or maybe not, or I've been, you know, I feel like I'm not doing something that's my heart's desire, or, you know, like, what might you recommend to somebody who maybe is like, listens in and is like, yikes, where do I begin, you know, like, with this authentic self search or authentic self listening?
I think if you can find time to be quiet, that's a good way to tune in. And okay, for me, I go off that gut feeling, that knowingness. And sometimes it's a knowing that this makes me feel good, and then there's a knowing that this makes me feel bad. Like my friend tells me, when you're shopping, for example, it's either a hell yeah or it's a hell no. And you know that usually if you're paying attention to yourself, paying attention to that feeling, paying attention to your heart or whatever it is that you're tuning into, you'll know if it's a hell yeah or it's a hell no. You know, when in doubt, journal. That's a good way to find some clarity. I like to write things out. I like to dance things out. You know, sometimes it's just you put on some music and you don't think about it and just rock out. And when you've exhausted yourself and you're just sitting there and it's like, okay. And then it's like, oh, I could just do, you know, that's a good way. Music is an amazing way for me to really reconnect and get some clarity. Because sometimes just turning on the radio, that one song that comes on at that moment is like, oh, okay. That either confirms that I should or I shouldn't, you know? So pay attention. The world, the universe, spirit, or however you want to call it, will give you that information if you are looking for it. If you're slow down and pay attention enough, you'll know if you're on the right path. If you keep meeting resistance, pause. Take a beat and circle back. Is this really where you're supposed to be? I want it. Okay, but maybe the way you getting it might not be the way you're supposed to get it. You keep meeting resistance, take a step back. Take a breath. Circle back. You know? So
I'm gonna replay that clip. I'm gonna replay that download. I'm gonna replay that. That was beautiful. That's beautiful. That's so, yes.
Take a beat and circle back.
Yes and yes. Yes and yes. That was amazing.
Well, I can't claim that one. That's a good one, but that is quarter life poetry.
Yeah.
If you can find that, she's amazing. I don't remember the Samantha somebody, but take a beat and circle back. I think it's on HBO.
Yeah.
They're like 3 minutes, and they're so much of, I get that. So take a beat and circle back. Quarter life poetry. That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's, anyway, loving the massage download. I hear you saying that the rain in Georgia and the plume of like humidity and smoke that filled the air was like, you took a leap of faith, which then led you to the next leap of faith, military, took you to Iceland, to England. And then you were like, desert, please. Desert, please. You know, like I need some fire.
I need to warm up and dry out.
Yeah, totally. So anyway, what an exciting journey you've been on. What's been I think one thing that I'm always curious about, because I don't know, it's how I operate, right? It's how I operate is, okay, there's little things that are coming up for me that I'm working through or healing, like, healers are healing, right? We're all on this evolutionary process. I think, we can sometimes like look at each other and be like, oh, she's got her shit together. She's got all the, everything's like just on point. And
That's so funny.
I'm over here flailing, I think some of us can
Some
do
of
a
it.
little of that,
Yeah, it's funny because I went before all this pandemic thing started. I went to Hawaii for my birthday, right before my birthday, and I saw some friends there, and they all, you look at people and you can say, oh, they got their stuff together. They all called me on my shit. They were like, you ain't doing your work. And I'm like, I'm on vacation. They were like, and when you're back home, you're not doing this, you're not. And I was like, how do you know? And they were like, we can feel it. We can see it. We can tell. So just like you can look at somebody when you're in tune and say, oh, they got their shit together. There's other times where you can say, oh, maybe. And as healers, as facilitators of health, not an obligation, but an obligation to say, hey, are you doing your shit? Are you in prayer? Are you doing ceremony? Because your energy, I love you, and this doesn't feel right to me, and I want to support you. So as other practitioners, we need to come together and come to some accountability to each other, to say, hey, I love you, do your work.
Yeah.
How can I help you if you need help? Why aren't you doing it? Because it might be something. I thought I was getting away. I showed up in Hawaii like, oh, it's my birthday, it's my vacation. And my friends were like, oh no, what is this? We don't like this. Figure it out. And I was like, okay. Yeah, let's burn some sage then. But it's our responsibility to each other, when you see that, to say, hey, how can I support you? Because I see you're slipping. How can I help you to be better, or to heal, or I love you. What do you need? And it might just be somebody to acknowledge, to hold them accountable, or say, hey, nobody's looking, so I'm not going to do anything until somebody looks.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's so good, because it's I think I agree. It's this journey of, we're obviously like, whether consciously or unconsciously, like journeying, right? And it's like, and so I'll be, okay, that keeps showing up. That keeps showing up. Okay, that keeps showing up. Okay, what?
Yeah.
Something's got to shift in how I'm like, I've got to shift some things if that's going to ever not show up. If if that's really not my bliss or my joy, if I don't want that to show up any longer. Well, let me just give an example of some healing. Last night, middle of the night, Sarah kind of wakes up a little stressed out. Maybe from a dream or something. And I'm like, I'm tired. And I really just want to go back to sleep. And which, okay, probably that's okay. I'm not saying that's bad of me, but, so I just was like, hey babe, like gentleness, like you're good. You're good. We're doing our best. Weird time to be alive. We're doing our best. But I just went straight into coaching mode, like middle of the night, like straight into coaching mode, rather than like figuring out if I could show up. Cause I want it, like I would like to be able to show up, even if it's in the middle of the night, for those I care about, like especially Sarah. It's like, okay, I want to show up for you. Give me a couple minutes. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Let me ground out and then show up to you, because versus like just throwing like, well, just, you're good. I was just, cause I wanted to go back to sleep. So I wanted her to be good as fast as possible. And was feeling like, anyway, so just this journey of
finding a balance in that.
Finding a balance of like, taking care of self, honoring self, right? In relationships and friendships, that journey of self-care to then be able to show up for somebody, acknowledging when I need to set a boundary because I can't show up right now, right? It's like, I actually can't show up. I love you so much, but I cannot show up right now. Being okay to say that on occasion, you know, like.
And it is, but that's clear. That's transparency. That's communication, and that's where you get that fine line of, you know, where's that balance? You got to find that balance, and you have to putting on your life coaching cap might not have been the best cap to put on. However, you know, it's what you did, and it's okay too, because it's a learning experience now.
Totally.
You know?
Totally.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Isn't that what I mean? What a journey we're all on. And I do appreciate. I recently got called out on Facebook, and initially was like, ooh, my ego is like real hurt and real sad, and real like I wanted to like hide in a hole. I'm like I'm done with Facebook. I can't do this social media thing anymore. But then like but then I was like, wait, hold up. It's okay. like we're all on this human journey, and like errors, you know, tripping is a part of the ball game. It's like I'm not, you know, like, so acknowledging that, and then getting back, like I actually took some space. I took a few days of just like, I got nothing to say. I got, you know, like
sometimes that's when you say the most.
I got nothing to say, and then you know, but it is important. It is. I'm so thankful that I got called out in that moment. You know, like even though like my ego didn't like it. Right.
No.
Even though we don't, right. We don't necessarily always love it.
No.
But sometimes like we really need it. We really need those who, you know, those near and dear to us to remind us, hey,
you got to still do the work.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah. Do we ever get to, do we ever get to that? Do we ever get to a place where it's like, oh, got it. All right. Boom.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you ascend.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you ascend. Exactly.
But I always say, as soon as you say that, as soon as you go, oh, I got it, the universe or higher power or whatever it is that you believe in goes, oh, you got it? Good. Pop quiz. And gives you a situation that is just like something that you just been, and I'm like, I just did this. Why am I going through? And I tell people, if you've done it already, you know what to do, apply what you already know. And it's like, oh, I just have to be honest. I only have to show up, or that's all you have to do. If you know, then do that. This is just a pop quiz. You know, you got it. Remember?
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And it's a practice, right? I mean, I think like you were talking about mastery and your journey in the massage journey, and now feeling like, all right, now I can teach. Like there's this, you, right? That as a practitioner, as a life healing arts practitioner, and also as a self-healing being, you know, as you put those hours in and that intentionality in, and that, you know, really go inward and do that cleansing and that healing and that trauma release and whatnot. Right?
Yeah.
Then we can hear ourselves more, right?
It comes back around. It's learning what that voice sounds like, you know? And, you know, I don't know, sometimes I hear, well, is it supposed to be a voice in my head? And like I said, it could be you turn on the radio and that song that you hear is exactly what you needed. Or you could be walking down the street or in a grocery store and somebody else's conversation while you're picking up a loaf of bread. Okay. And that gets you, we're all connected. If you have that belief, and if we're all connected, we're always bumping up into each other, you know, whether it's intentional or not, you know, like I said, just standing next to somebody, they're talking about whatever they're talking about, and it triggers something in you. Oh, here we go. And then you're off down their rabbit hole and you don't even know, you know, and that's another thing. I really have found to be interesting is in this journey, you never know who's watching.
Mm-hmm.
You never know who's you're inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
You never know who is just motivated to do something because they saw you and never said anything to you.
Mm-hmm.
I find that to be more profound to me when it comes back around and say, oh, I saw you walking down the street picking up trash, and that motivated me to pick up trash. Wow, I'm just doing me. And that's awesome that has an effect. And you don't even know. You don't even know, That stuff is fun.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
I've been doing a lot of that. We do, me and my partner, we walk in the neighborhood, and I found those little grabbers that you get, and they're like $10 at Ace Hardware.
Okay.
So we got them, and and there's days where we don't see anybody, nobody drives by, and it's not for the honks and and sometimes you see 10 people that are like, thank you, out the window. And I'm like,
aww.
What's even better is when you see somebody next week that their family has one, and it's the family last week that said, where'd you get that? $10 at Ace Hardware. And they're at the park now, because they saw you. That's it. How it shows up and it comes back, and you're like, wow, life is beautiful. And you never know how you're inspiring. You never know what is motivating people. As much as you think, oh, I'm struggling, somebody out there is going, she got her stuff together. Yeah. And I want to be like her, or I want to be like him, without even knowing. Yeah. Your missus does that. She does. I practice my transparency and clarity and compassionate communication in my bubble, and she puts it out there and for the world, and that takes a lot of heart and a lot of courage to be as transparent. So she is inspiring to me. So tell Sarah thank you. And I've never met.
I know. It's game time. 2021.
Okay.
2021. We got to get. Yeah, y'all got to come out here and hang for a weekend or something.
I like it. Carlsbad, right?
Yeah. Totally.
All right.
Tell me. So, two questions to kind of wrap up our time here. But I'm just so grateful for you. And
likewise.
Yeah, I'm thinking the first question is about this last 8 months, 2020. I just would love. I'm sick of looking at the news for insights on 2020. I want to know what my healing sister Ixchel would just offer. Like, what have you been learning? How are you facing 2020? How are you facing like what all is transpiring in the world and showing up? How's your heart? How's your heart as we've been walking through this interesting, I want to say awakening or a deep cleanse. I feel like there's a cleanse going on of like, I don't know. Anyway, I'm curious to know your thoughts and what you've been feeling and thinking over the last 8-9 months of this journey we've been on.
2020. I was in Hawaii, when at the start of it, I was on vacation, and I came back, and 2 weeks later I was laid off, because schools closed, and I was like, but I just went to Hawaii. Do you know how much money I just spent? I was like, can I just get this one more semester? Wait a minute. They were like, no, you just, thank you for your time. Yeah. And so I just had this conversation just not too long ago where I was saying I should have done more during the pandemic. I should have gone to classes. I should have worked out. I should have. And then somebody said, well, why are you shitting on yourself? What did you do? And I rested, and I healed, and my body needed to rest, and I was supporting my family, and I was supporting my, my sister and the things that I was available for them. And when the world was paused, I kind of, I was on pause. I was doing a lot of things. But when at the end of it, when the things shifted for me and I was like, okay, I can focus on what I need to focus on. I was like, oh man, it's 6 months. I could have done. But that's not what that time for me was for. And once I got done beating myself up about I'm still can do. There's still so many opportunities. And now that I've taken that time to really get clear on what I want to do, as opposed to, wow, what can I do? I'm moving forward at a more temperate pace. It's been hard to look at the news and not, I'm angry. I'm pissed off about a whole hell of a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be productive with that anger. And put my energy into things that I have control over. But yeah, I'm pissed off about a lot of things in 2020 and scared. I'm a woman of color. I thought being a woman would protect me from a lot of things that are dangers out there for people of color, but it doesn't anymore. And it's hard to live in a country that doesn't find my life as valuable, you know?
Yeah.
Is that everybody though? No. There's a whole lot you can get caught up with the politics of it. Yeah, everybody, if you don't realize that the person that's in power right now is a bigot and a racist and a misogynist, you've drunk the Kool-Aid. And there's no having conversations with that person anymore. But for the people that are open and willing to listen, you know, I'm open and willing to have the conversation.
Yeah.
And I find there is, thankfully, more people open and willing to have the conversation. So that gives me hope, you know. But it's scary times. It's really, really, I mean, there's part of me who's like, okay, I can die on a traffic stop going to the grocery store. And that's a reality. That's a reality. And what to do with that, you know? But in this time and space, I just think, okay, I just want to love. I just want to, if I have to be here and if I'm going to show up, I'm going to show up with as much love as I can possibly. And there can be anger and still be love. Anger is not a bad thing. It's not a bad emotion. It's what you do with that anger that is what is the point or the end game, what you do with it. If you use your anger to motivate you to do something positive, great. Yeah. If your anger is motivating you to be destructive, you're not solving anything, you know? So I'm trying my best. I'm doing my best to take that anger and that frustration and fear, although fear is false evidence appearing real, that fear that, okay, I can do something. What can I do right now, right here? And it might be just loving somebody. And it doesn't have to be anybody I know. Sometimes I'm very fortunate to live across the street from the park, and I love everybody over there sometimes a whole lot. I just stand on my front porch and I'm like, I'm sending you rainbows. I'm sending you rainbows because somebody pissed me off, and I'm sending you rainbows because, and I need to do that because to hold on to that is not productive for me in my body.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, you might load up the Arrested Development cassette and put that out the window.
Yeah, Mr.
Yeah,
Wendell.
yeah, Mr.
Everyday
Wendell.
people.
Yeah, yeah.
We
Whoosh.
can do it.
Thanks for dropping us in on your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I love you and appreciate your words. Yeah,
Likewise.
yeah, inspired
Likewise.
by you. Inspired by you.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So we've got 20,000 people in the audience.
Wow.
And they've come to this retreat knowing that you are going to keynote or close. You're going to close it. You're going to be the closer.
Okay.
And so they've enjoyed the retreat thus far. They've been soaking in goodness, but here they are, excited for you to take the stage, and to just share a couple pieces that they could walk away with, thinking about diving into what do you want people to walk away with, who are in the audience, listening, watching on YouTube, or, in this 20,000 person crowd that we're visualizing? What do you want people to walk away with?
First and foremost, to love yourself. Come to a place where you love you, and trusting yourself. People always come to me and say, oh, I don't know how to trust. I'm not sure trust yourself, trust what goes on inside of here. Trust what that good or bad feeling, that pull or push that you have. Trust that, because your heart is not, you're not going to lie to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You might not like the answer you get. That's something, but your heart will tell you, your spirit will tell you the truth. And something that has got me through a lot of things, a lot of good and bad times. Life is squishy, but it tastes better that way. That's it. Life is squishy, but it tastes better that way. Yes, indeed. So look for the squish, because it's there. Yeah.
You're amazing. You're amazing. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Yeah, really appreciate you joining me today and having this conversation, and excited for people to listen in, and to, those who have listened in, grateful for your presence and your support of Our Healing Voices vision. And I shall, if somebody were to, I don't know, maybe be in Arizona and they're like needing some life coaching, or maybe just, obviously Zoom these days, the capability, are you taking clients at the moment? Are you open to, people reaching out to you and saying, hey, I've got this vision, I've got this, I need I'd like to hire you for this, or I'd like to hire you for this?
Well, I am open and available for some, I have maybe 2 slots available right now for life coaching clients.
Okay.
I have 1 slot available for a new massage client. Really packed for time. And I'm looking at doing some tutoring. I think I'm looking at maybe developing some classes, not so much for but for new therapists, to get some more. We're living in a time where we're hard pressed to find body work, people to do body work on, with everything shut down and massage not being on the forefront of what people are doing. But students need bodies to practice on. So I'm looking at maybe opening a tutoring practice and doing some skills labs with some new therapists or some old therapists that want to, refresh their skills. So
Yeah.
I'm in the works of developing that, and but I'm always open. I can send you my contact details and
beautiful.
my email. That if that was, I don't know how you would do that.
Yeah, I'll make sure I post it in all the posts and on YouTube in the description.
Excellent. Yeah, I'll send you my email and my contact info, and we can go from there. I'd appreciate that. Yeah, perfect pressure
totally.
therapies.
Yeah, so. Totally. Yeah. Anyway, I'm so grateful to you and those of you who joined us. Really grateful for you to be with us on the journey. I think every interview, I walk away encouraged and excited, just about love, about what's possible. And you brought that today and shared your honesty and shared your real voice and your experiences. And I know that I feel uplifted and supercharged to keep on doing the work, keep on doing the work, keep on doing the healing. So those of you who are, listening, don't hesitate to, I'll post Ixchel's contact info. Don't hesitate to reach out to her. And, if you'd like to, be in touch or do work with her, and likewise with myself, always know that, I'm ready to drop in for a phone call anytime, and just, let's just keep doing the work. Let's keep healing together. Let's keep believing in, there are more of us than we think there are.
Yes.
I want to believe there are more of us than we think there are. And so let's just keep trusting that and believing in that, and finding each other. Let's keep finding each other, and it's going to keep spreading. It's going to keep spreading. So everywhere. Yes, please. Yes, please. So there we are, episode 18 of our Healing Voices podcast and YouTube channel. Thanks, everyone.